Hello, everybody. Lake Station Community Advocate and Educator here, back again. It's been a while. My apologies. Been really kind of busy. Been kind of sitting and simmering and watching from afar. I got a couple major things that I want to touch on today. Maybe one, maybe two parts, but let's get started. So there were some comments that were made due to the water line that was busted at City Hall. Now, no, everybody in the community knows that it's been a repetitive problem in our town that either the water lines bust, and it's so funny, it's water lines bust in the middle of summer. And we've had an issue with there was no response time for that. The calls were continually just ignored to respond. I think that's peculiar. The other thing is our city halls had a very long history of when people are questioning why they're being overcharged for sewer and water, that their systems go down and they're updating their computers, or we had to get a new system, or yeah, it's always something wrong. But this time it was water lines that busted, and it's so peculiar that it was only over the important areas of all the paperwork and computers, but not over the police station. I just find it peculiar, but maybe it was just because it was that part of the building, but it was over the mayor's office and over the city clerk treasurer's offices. So that's where all the important stuff is. Don't believe me? Here it is. This was pipe burst causes catastrophic damage to Lake Station City Hall. This is kind of a reoccurring pattern. It's kind of a reoccurring problem. Like I mentioned before, when residents are making complaints of why is our water bill? What's going on with our sewer? How come we're getting overcharged for garbage? A lot of fishy things are going on here. And every time that someone draws attention to why are they being overcharged and what's going on? How come we're paying tons of money for services that aren't up to par? And residents have that right to complain and to make those complaints. And unfortunately, when these things happen, something always goes wrong at City Hall. Our systems went down, our computer systems went bad, we had to get new computers, we're paying for a new computer system. Oh, you know what? Now it's a water line that busted. Go figure. And this was 6 months ago. There was a billing error due to the city's system upgrade. Go figure. Which, when looked at, the attachment was dorky. There's always some sort of excuses with our administration here in our town. It's just lie. Just run with it. Just go with it. The residents don't deserve to know the full truth. I'm sorry, that's not how I feel. I personally feel that the residents do need to know what's going on. And yes, this kind of stuff happens all the time. It happens. It's pushed on these social media sites. Oh, it was just a glitch error. Oh, it's a computer upgrade. Oh, we have to get a new system because our systems are down. And like I said, it's when residents are really giving an uproar about why their garbage is why they're being overcharged, why their sewer, why their water, what is going on. And every time that the city gets an influx of a lot of residents making some serious complaints, there's always some sort of nice little media story put out of, it's okay, this is what went on. There's always some sort of comment that's put out there, but we really need to know more. Now, in this article, you're more than welcome to pause it, give it a read. It says that there is a fire sprinkler system burst on Saturday, causing catastrophic damage to the offices that forced the building to shut down Monday and Tuesday. And it was a funny thing because, I believe that was wrong. And the reason I say that was wrong was because I was holding a fundraiser on Saturday. AmeriClean was there cleaning up some damage and some other items, and there were things that were already happening. It was already on the social media pages that City Hall was disrupted, but they waited until Monday and Tuesday, and there's an important reason why they wanted to wait until they said Monday and Tuesday. That's because, see, what people don't realize, at the Pride Fest in our town was where our fire engines and our EMS teams were at. There was a call that went out for this about 5 times where Lake Station Emergency and Fire Department toned it out and said, we're not answering that, because they were too busy at the Pride Fest to leave and to go respond to that. Now, the funny thing was, they wanted it to be destroyed. Honestly, that's my honest observation, in my opinion, because 5 calls went out and it was never responded to, and then this newspaper article says it was shut down Monday and Tuesday. Wrong. It was Saturday night. It's not my words. That's what went on. That's what it was. So, no, this is a ploy. Oh, our emergency services were there in response. No, they weren't. They were at Riverview Park at the Pride Fest with the mayor. No, they were not responding to this call, just like the other call that they did not respond to, that the police department had to pick the person up and take them to the hospital because the fire department and the EMS didn't respond because they were busy at the Pride Fest. And it's a funny thing. Here's what I want you to pay very close attention to, like the mayor said here, it was on a media post on Sunday, but it shut the building down on Monday and Tuesday. Obviously, they're not going to give up the court cases because that's their bread and butter right now with all the code violations they're going after people for their blighted and unsafe building violations, things like grass and a shingle or two missing off a roof. And by the way, we'll get to that. Trash pickup system was not impacted. Wow, that's a first. But the residents attempted to pay sewer and trash bills. They can do so online. That's a good thing. And so that's some of what's going on here. Now, as you see there, the timeline to reopen this building and resume normal operations, it's unclear. They don't know when things are going to be corrected. And sometimes you really just don't know, but it's a crazy thing because don't you have the money to get the services, to hurry up and get that cleaned up, to get the workers? Don't you have the workforce? That's a question to ask. So yes, these kinds of things do happen, and often, and it never really does hit the media like it should, but boy, it does hit these pages awfully fast, and then they have to configure their comments to the media. But it's catastrophic. But it didn't hurt the computers. But, I wonder how much paperwork it destroyed. And you wonder what's in that paperwork? A lot of very important paperwork, like financial paperwork and reports. And the funny thing is about our department, about our EMS and our fire department, and here's a very important aspect, people. So if you don't know what a SAFER fund is, SAFER grants, it's staffing for adequate fire and emergency response. That's what that means. And that specifically is meant to enhance the local fire department's ability to comply with staffing, responses, and operational standards that it's established. Okay? Now, the funny thing is there were 5 calls that went out and it just continued to flood because they were busy at the local Pride Fest. They weren't at the station. They were at the local Pride Fest. See, and here's why. If it was so catastrophic as they're portraying, Firehouse is right across the street. They could have ran over, shut off the water main, and it wouldn't have been catastrophic. But remember, it's catastrophic, and it took 5 calls for them to come there. It's almost like it was done on purpose. And again, if they're not using SAFER funds for more staffing and responses, then what are they doing with the money? Just some thoughts on the little flood that happened. I'm the Lake Station Community Advocate and Educator here, back again, and I just want to tell you, sorry it's been a while, and I want you guys to know that I'm going to be doing some more TikToks. I just kind of sit back watching and simmering and just kind of doing some thinking, but, with our leadership, our mayor, our council members, our fire department, police department, our entities, we should be demanding some accountability, transparency, and a little bit of integrity, because after that debacle, that's not by accident. It was they could have ran across the street and turned that water off to keep it from being catastrophic. Till next time, people.